So what are we looking at right here? We are looking at the Black Desert Late Night Talk. Right here we have the official NA EU English version of it. And a lot of the details and off-the-cuff mentions and stuff like that is missing here. So this is more boiled down. But we do have like a bit more information, especially when it comes to the buffs happening on Friday. That would be Friday the 3rd on Global Lab, which should be the last round of damage buffs in PvE balancing. And then the following week, we'll probably see some changes to the protections and things like that. Now, what is missing from this, I might as well mention right away. And we got this from Hu Hotbar, where he went back and he rewatched it and was able to get like a lot more details out of it. Apparently, the classes they're not doing the damage HP recovery changes too. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to get some changes or buffs in the second round where they're doing different things, but those classes were Awakening Witch, Awakening, and Succession Wusa. We knew about Succession, but apparently Awakening Wusa is not getting those changes either. Honestly, I don't think it needed. It needs some protection stuff, so maybe that's going to be in the second round. Sock Guardian and Sock Mego. Succession Nova as well. Succession Nova is not going to get it damage buffs as well. Or the sustain changes. But again, there will be a second round of changes that are going to affect different things than just raw numbers. And they might still be getting some changes there. So hold on. We'll see how it plays out. Right, so let's dive into this. What else were talked about? They mentioned here, let's just read it up. On October 27th, we streamed Late Night Talk with executive producer of Black Desert, Jae-hee Kim, aka Jay, discussed the current problems and plans for Black Desert. We will reveal updates to the topics discussed today through Global Lab updates, and we will work to continue to increase communication with our adventurers. Okay, so the cliff notes. The Asia Nodewar Championship improvements and future plans, and they did have the second rounds this weekend. No spoilers, but with the changes and everything, Korea didn't win. So kind of exciting. Definitely gonna be taking a look at that as well, but that's for a different video. They also talked about the Gout Bottle of Life Removal. That's the HP potion from Land of the Morning Light. It cost 500,000 silver each. Improvement to the supply method of base materials for Elixirs, drafts, and perfumes. This one here is big because there's a lot of stuff in this they mentioned. And Then they explained the reasons for the one-sided war deck changes. They're talking about PvP content improvements, Monster Zone silver profits improvements, more ways of obtaining crystals, and I might as well mention this right away. They said in regards to this, they do not want to remove crystals breaking on death in PvE. It's been one of the things that I've been definitely persuaded to need it happening. But they came out and said they don't want to do that. It would affect too many things, and they just didn't want to fix all those other things. Was pretty much the gist of it. So they're just, instead of removing crystal breaking, they are just looking for making it easier to get. That's what they said, but maybe there's more details below. They're explaining soft caps, approach to class balance updates, game crash issues, reasons for not showing damage numbers. A lot of these are like very short, so it's not going to be a crazy long breakdown here. Class improvements, Gamma of Heart, yes, they're looking to improve ways of getting it, thank God. Live content updates, and reason behind weekly reset times for various content. So some of you guys probably know that boss spawns resets the night leading to Saturday, weekly quest resets Thursdays, and some items in like loyalty stock resets Mondays. It's all over the place. It used to be way worse though, but they explain why here. And then content due for updates. So they do give a glimpse into the future that's coming as well here, even though we do have Caltheon Ball soon. They also mentioned, I don't know if it's here, but they did mention that they were planning on doing another one of these at the end of November, or at least in November. and they were hoping to do Calcium Ball in December, but they didn't promise it. So I think a lot of the stuff happening here would potentially push back Calcium Ball. So that's why they're not making a promise. I think everyone was expecting one of the first weeks in December. It still might happen, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So the Asia Nodewar Championship. We kind of covered this already in the video with the drama stuff. They're basically just reiterating everything here. And then they're explaining what they changed. They talked to all the GMs, and all the GMs of the warring guilds agreed to the new system, the way they're doing it. TLDRs, they were going to do instead of a 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1, they're doing a 2 versus 2 on 4 nodes. So they did a draw, basically, so they have like 2 Korean guilds versus 2 of Japanese guilds, and then they have 2 Asia guilds versus 2 of the Taiwan guilds, and then they just like fight that way, and they collect points and see who wins. Right, so that's the TLDR of this stuff here. They again super apologize and all that stuff. Like, this guy kind of irrelevant, right? They're just talking about like why they chose the gearing. It makes sense. Next up, and this is a big announcement. The HP potion in Land of the Morning Light is 45% stronger than the Infinite Potion. They added it as a silver sink, and they are removing it. We will be removing the new Land of the Morning Light healing potion and returning the silver equivalent of the remaining items. We intend the addition of the healing potion to be a top tier potion in Land of the Morning Light, emphasizes on items' unique trait, while also alleviating the inflation issue that arose with the addition of the LBM monster spot. So more silver power, more like money, more inflation, so they're trying to combat that by taxing PvP. I hope us adventurers would use this item to provide an edge for certain competitive PvP situations. However, it seems that the frustration grew around the bottle, turning it into a necessary item that requires a large amount of silver to continue to lose. Of course, anything that's regarded to PvP and advantage, it turns instantly into a must-have item. There is never a case of, oh, you just use it. No, you use it or you lose kind of thing. It's super powerful. It's a big deal. So of course it becomes crazy burning holes in people's pocket. Essentially, it became an essential item that requires ferry settings and caused inconvenience traveling long distance to purchase. It weighed a ton. It became a source of frustration. Although a late decision in order to reduce the burden, enjoy PvP and foster better PvP experience, they will just remove it. Personally, I thought they were going to add a 4th piece to the Infinite Potion, and we could then grind that and upgrade our Infinite Potion to this tier of healing potion, but instead they're just removing it from the game. It should already be removed on Wednesday. So this week's maintenance, that will be November 1st. It should be removed from the game. Next up is changing to Elixir drafted Perfumes. Now, as far as I understood from the live stream, this was tentative. It was nothing official announced, but this was the stuff that they were thinking about and planning and trying to make work, and it's actually kind of giga. Especially considering we just had Alchemy being buffed, which should be out this week, and I'm excited about that. So, Elixir draft perfume stuff. First, we're improving the supply of base materials to make it easier to obtain Elixir drafting perfumes. That's the Elixir, Alchemy stuff I talked about. Should be really good. We're prioritizing increasing the supply of materials for truffles, which used to make sharp detection, and also blue whale oil for swiftness and courage perfumes. We will be consolidating both party and normal elixirs. We're planning on consolidating normal elixirs and party elixirs. Now, exactly what this means, I'm kind of curious about. I'll give my 2 cents here after we finish the paragraph. Party elixirs were first introduced to reduce the inconvenience of the previous methods of using Owl's Breath to provide the party buff. However, we concluded that the current state only complicated the complexity of elixirs further. This can mean a couple of things. I think what this means is, and we'll have to wait and see. It's really poorly translated. I think they might be removing the party elixirs and just making regular elixirs work a party, or vice versa. So instead of you making party elixirs, they just already work for the party, and it's just one thing. Yeah. So for me, I think they might be looking to just have one type of elixirs. You got the green, you got the blue, but they'll work for party style. It could be that it's not very specific, and honestly, this translation is pretty abysmal. Next up, more stuff with elixirs. We want to simplify the concept of elixirs with the following approaches. And again, nothing here is officially confirmed. It's just like this is stuff they want to do. What they want to do doesn't mean it's something they're gonna do. We're practically concerned with the situations when elixirs effects are lost when drafts are consumed, as well as situations where the players feel the need to consume a multitude of elixirs. Yeah, it can be very annoying accidentally clicking a draft and then it's all gone, or accidentally you have one running, you go to a party spine, and then everybody pops elixirs and you don't have them on because you had one running. So the way it works is you take 2 elixirs to make 1 party elixirs. And a blue elixir is 8 minutes and a party is 15 minutes. So you might be like, well, that's terrible. You're gonna lose a minute. No, because you have around 80, I think it's actually a 90% chance. It's like 80 or 90% chance of double procking. So let's say you make 100 elixirs. Well, that would be around 40 party elixirs. It's 90%. I thought it was 90. So it'd be like 45 party elixirs. So not only are you getting, well, you're basically almost doubling the amount of duration you have by making them party elixirs. And then not having to pop them very often, and they work in a party. So like pretty much, I would say the only time you don't make party elixirs is if you know you're going to be dying a lot. Let's say for PvP. You go to a node war, you know you're going to be dying left and right. If you die within the 8 minutes, yeah, then it's technically better not to. But if you then survive, then you basically just screwed yourself. Okay, next up is a giga announcement. And again, I do want to stress this is not confirmed. They're just saying this is what they want to do. They're looking to it. So yeah, let's not get our hopes too much up. They want to simplify the concept of elixirs with the following approaches. We're particularly concerned with situations where the elixirs effects are lost when drafts are consumed, as well as situations where players feel the need to consume a multitude of elixirs. You know, PvE, grinding, elixir rotations, in-game stuff, PvP situations, burning through like full elixir rotations. They're too powerful at in-game. It's a bit like the HP potion. It's such a big difference that you have to go through the annoyance of doing it because of the big advantage it will give you. So, as a solution, we're thinking about defining draft as an advanced version of elixirs. We're planning on improving their effects and also creating a single elixir that combines all of the effects. So that was kind of the idea with drafts originally. It was a multitude of elixir buffs going into one big buffs. Sort of like cron meal, you just pop that, boom, you were done. That's the only thing you had to. It just turned out that the full rotations, even food rotations and all that, still gives you an advantage, and that advantage is at super in-game stuff. Too much, right? You have to go for it. So here they're talking about having, say, like potentially just one draft, you pop it and give you the full elixir rotation in one go. However, there is more, and this is where it gets crazy. We are also thinking about creating an infinite elixir, which has been requested by adventurers. And not only that, they're talking about an elixir that gives you a full elixir rotation. It's not really mentioned here, but they said that during the live stream, that they're literally talking about like an infinite potion, an infinite elixir you pop, and it gives you a full elixir rotation. Now, how that's going to affect Alchemy, I'm not sure, but they did say don't worry about it. Okay. Of course, we want to make sure that the changes to the Elixir system wouldn't negatively impact existing adventurers who enjoy Alchemy. So we're working on other Elixir consumption resources and methods to earn profit. In addition, we're planning on improving the complexity of food items after we address the complexity regarding elixirs. So this infinite elixir, they did specifically mention they wanted to make it a treasure item. So, yeah. It would be absolutely crazy, insane, mandatory. I mean, I'm an alchemist enjoyer. I'm almost Goo 44 alchemy. I'm working on the darkness for years now. And I welcome this. This would be crazy, dude. This would be absolutely wild. Again, they are. Let me summarize. This is what they're planning to do. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. They are planning to making drafts potentially be a full Elixir rotation. So instead of having to pop all your potions, 20 potions, whatever, for full, you basically can make drafts that would have all of the effects. Maybe not all, but like potentially all of the potion, like a full Elixir rotation in a draft. One click, boom, you're done. And then they are planning on making a treasure item that is that full infinite rotation in one click. With that done, of course, that would impact Alchemy. So they have plans to address that and make other ways for Alchemy to make money instead of the Elixirs for Elixir rotations. They did also mention that they were aware of the fairy in this. So they didn't say what they were planning to do, if anything, with the fairy, aka the continuous care effect, which they just recently added. But they did in the live stream mention that they were aware about it. So they'll probably do something to that in some regard. Right. I think that's, again, this is one of the biggest announcements in this entire thing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one. It's a big one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit excited about it. Again, I do Alchemy, but I also hate having to do full Elixir rotations and all that stuff. As an alchemist, I'm not mad about this. The only thing I'm mad about in regards to this is that it might potentially make it even more impossible for me to get the darkness. Next up is something that is definitely hot on the tails of the news right now. One-sided guild war declarations. So recently they changed how war decks work. Previously, you could deck an enemy guild assuming that it met some criteria, like if it didn't own any nodes, you couldn't do it, stuff like that. But you could deck a guild, and you'll be able to war against that guild until you drop the deck. They changed that, so now you can only have a war declaration up on another guild if they return it. Otherwise, no war decks. And they're talking about this. There's been a lot of feedback about this recently. Recently since the change. We reorganized how the adjustments to the one-sided declarations came as an unwelcome change to some adventurers, especially for those who enjoy PvP. We acknowledge that we could have offered more clarity about the situation before applying the changes. Originally, one-sided decks were used between guilds of similar strength, but given the lifespan of BDO, the gap in strength between guilds grew larger and became more of a tool of causing harassment and griefing instead. Also, there were literally guilds that played like that, right? Used this to, like, the foundation of the guilds were to grieve other guilds. So it's definitely something that's been escalating over time, for sure. It's been used for many things. It's also been used to protect you from being grieved. And I think this is where a lot of people have issues with this. I think all of us understand how these war decks could be used to grieve other guilds, but there's another side of the coin, and it's the people using the war decks to protect against griefers. Coming into the grind spots, grinding over them, and you not being able to do anything, you lose a tool to protect from you being griefed, right? And then of course you have to like weigh the size of these implications on the game and amount of players and what it results in at the end of it. In an attempt to address these issues, we have tried many different updates, such as increasing guild war cost, guild-based servers, but none of them proved sufficient. So this is previous changes they've done. Yeah. In this way, the one-sided guild declaration changes were updated, but we apologize that we failed to communicate with our adventurers about our reasoning beforehand. We will work to be more transparent with such major updates in the future. So I think when we're watching this live, a lot of us were expecting them to say, we're gonna take a look at it. They didn't say that. They just explained why it is the way it is. I wouldn't expect them to really do any change. I do want to say that Jay did say in the live interview that on the dev team, there was almost like a 50-50. It was very split on the dev team about the change and how they liked it. Plus, of course, the player base feedback. But it doesn't look like they're gonna do anything about it. Personally, I'll just throw that in there. I totally get why they're doing this to protect people from being completely griefed out of existence and not having any real way of doing it other than potentially dropping guilds, and then guilds are dying, and then potentially players are leaving the game and all that. I think the best middle ground where you still have the PvP in BDO. Shout out to one of the viewers for coming up with this. It's not my own idea, but I take full credit. Is potentially just reworking the war decks, taking a step back, and I think a solid middle ground would be you can deck guilds. However, the war deck is an event kind of thing, so any war deck you declare would be up for, say, 2 hours, and then you wouldn't be able to deck the same guild again for 48 hours. So in that way, you can use it for actually having a fight, for protecting against people griefing your grind spot, of actually starting a war. And you would want people to then show up in the time interval, so it's sort of an event where, like, now it's going on, now we fight, but then you wouldn't be able to just keep it up permanently to grieve a guild out of existence. So I think that would be a great, like, middle ground of doing it, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're making any changes to it. Here we are, the PvP contents improvements. And this is good, by the way. This is great. I just hope that they don't completely remove the open world PvP. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We're currently focusing on improving War of the Roses and also thinking about increasing the number of participants. So they have tried War of the Roses in Korea. They've had it out in Korea, and they played it in Korea on the Korean servers with the regular players. And it played really well, and it looked a lot of fun. However, they haven't tested it on other servers. And if the last week has shown us, it's that how it plays in Korea does not correlate to how the rest of the world plays it, especially when it comes to large scale. This entire thing is because of Korean players playing on a different server with higher ping and experiencing what we have every single week in Nodewar Sieges, the lag, the desync, the teleporting around, the unplayable in large-scale PvP. And now they're talking about making it bigger. I really hope that Jay and the rest of the Korean devs team has at least considered testing it out on different servers first and seeing how it plays in 300 versus 300. Because I'm excited about this, but I don't think anyone in the grand scheme of the world expects even the 300 versus 300 to be without lag. Surely it's going to be super desyncy. It's going to be, I'm guessing, on like an individual server, so maybe going to be better than a regular Nodewar and Siege experience, but it's going to be pretty bad. I think everyone's expecting. And now if they're talking about increasing it, sure, more people can play it, but it's going to be potentially even worse. So please test it out first outside of Korea. I beg. Anyway, first and foremost, we'll be focusing on polishing War of the Roses. However, even with the maximum 600 participants, we understand that the adventurers who want to participate but are unable to get in the third faction. Therefore, we're thinking of ways to allow those who did not cut for third faction to participate. We're planning on making improvements so that adventurers can earn EXP and silver while enjoying existing PvP content. We're considering changes where just participating PvP content such as Nodewar, Siege, RBF, Arena of Solar, and Asia servers yields a certain amount of silver profit. However, we don't want to create a situation where PvP feels forced due to rewards, so we're considering improving rewards to be more. Measures to prevent inactive players from being able to receive rewards. Okay, so basically this is, again, terrible translation. I don't know what's going on here. They did say in the live stream, again, shout out to Hugh Hotbar for doing these translations and everything live, guard mode. I think Canon XO was doing it as well. What they did say was they didn't want it to be better than grinding, right? They wanted it to still be something where you could do it and earn a real amount of EXP and silver, but they didn't want it to be something that you would have to. It's not going to be as good as grinding or live skilling. It's going to be worse. But I mean, right now it's like 30 mil an hour. I mean, come on. They could make it 500 mil an hour, and that would still be the case. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. Okay, next up, we'll be making improvement to existing PvP contents. We're currently working on making Arena of Solar's practice mode available at all time. We will announce more details about rank mode in later notices. So this wasn't really specified in the live. I think everyone, me included, thought that they were gonna make ranked WF and everything like more permanent available. Of course, it makes sense that that will still be seasonal, but having practice mode on at all time, great. Huge W, it makes no sense that it wasn't. In order to better reflect a guild's activity, we're considering integrating kill death counts into a war score system. The idea is to introduce a score system where you earn 2 points for a kill and 1 point for death. We're hoping that this will serve as an indicator of how much and how often your guild participate in combat, while also freeing adventurers from worries about the death negatively impacting their guild. This is like a weird one. I guess the change here would make it feel less bad when you're getting clapped. Because now it's not like a giga war score difference. So it's just like sort of points-ish. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like more of a mental thing, and like tricking your brain into thinking it's going good, and then maybe you PvP more. It's just weird, but maybe it works. Next up, and this one here is very interesting. We're preparing to change the Asia server into an environment where you are expected to fight with everyone and anyone. It will be a form of PvP where, with the exception of your party and platoons, even your guild members and everyone other than yourself becomes a stranger and your enemy. You can freely take down anyone and you will not know or see who they are. So what this means is they are planning to remove names above players, or maybe just like have something, but they will remove the identifier of who it is. Will you be able to type on Asia? We don't know. Of course, you can still party up, because otherwise you couldn't do party content. But they kind of want Asia, it seems. And it's, again, this is one of those where they have an idea about how something will work, and then players do whatever the fuck they want and don't follow the spirit of the thing. And they're just there, yeah. It's super weird. So I think their idea, the fantasy about this is you go onto Asia and it's a Wild West. You don't know who you're fighting. You don't know what it's the danger there. You fend for yourself. Anyone can attack you, and you can attack anyone, and yeah, like you don't know if it's friend or foe, and you go into the wilderness and you just PvP. In addition, in order to confirm where a cannonball has landed after firing, we will develop a way to notify you of a hit or miss when using a cannon. So in the live talk, I don't remember if it was Jay or the other dev that had been to a Node War as a cannon guy on cannon team, and he was like, this is like, we need this. So yeah, that's why they're doing it. Apparently one of the devs had gone to a Node War. If there are any suggestions for PvP improvements, please share your thoughts in the forums so we may take them into consideration. Monster Zone profits. We plan to increase silver profits of certain monster zones. Currently there are 2 mechanics in place to determine the silver profits of a zone. One, I'll just do a TLDR, I know what's coming up. One is the trash spots where you're grinding for trash silver like Elvia or Camps, and another one is the rare drops like Dibarakas or Distos, Starsend, Asforce, etc. In terms of the buffs used to boost the profits, buffs that affect item drop amount are easier to come by. That would mean increasing the amount of trash you drops. While the buff for drop rate are harder to obtain. Pretty much, the drop amount buffs in the game is loot scrolls and acres. And then once in a while, you might have an acres coin from an event, but really, you pop on a loot scroll, and if you have acres, you use it. That's it. There's no other prerequisite. Those are the only things that's gonna work. Whereas for drop rate, you have potentially a pit, you have family fame, you have of course loot scroll as well, you have scrolls for drop rate, you have ecology, and I'm sure there's like you have node investment as well. There's like a bunch of stuff here that you would need to get and use and acquire and grind. Karma blessing, node investments, all these kind of things. So it's like a whole range of items, crystals, buffs, all that affects this. So it's a lot more complex to get all of it out of it, and there's way more things you need to invest time into, like your ecology and your fame, to get the buffs up, and that makes it harder to balance, right? Because then if you balance it around somebody that hasn't done anything, well, then somebody that has all the buffs, they are rolling in the money if they have all the things going right for those drop amounts. So what they're looking to do is make it a bit easier for the drop rate stuff. It's not really listed here, but we want to increase the overall profits of zones that rely on profit from rare item drops. We essentially want to decrease the difference in profit when compared to the current monster zones that rely on trash loot for profit. And they did mention sort of that they were potentially looking at making it easier to acquire the drop rate. And that would then increase the profits. It doesn't come across here in the translation, but that's some of the things that were said in the live interview. So exactly what's going to happen, we'll see. My guess would be it's going to be just easier getting the drop rate. I don't think necessarily they're going to buff the drops, but just like getting more drop rates easier, it would mean you make more silver. Because the profits in the Decay Lanterns were immoderately high, we decided to make a downwards adjustment. They're talking about the stuff they nerfed the lantern spots. We plan to apply updates to Balance Monster Zone after making the class balance changes. And about those, it's in my last video. Do check it out. If anyone missed it, the first round of the damage increases will be out in Korea on November 8th. And then after that, they'll roll them out globally. So that means November 15, 99% sure we're going to get them globally after. So all these buffs have been coming on the global lab. One more coming out on Friday. Should be on live servers globally November 15. That's not confirmed, but November 8 for Korea is. So it should be 15. Right, next up is crystals. And this has been a huge topic for a while now about crystals breaking PvE. PA came out and said it is not happening. They're not removing it. They do not want, well, they're not going to remove crystals breaking in PvE because there was way too many things that needed to be done. Instead, they are looking to increase the ways of getting crystals. So if you lose a crystal, then you might be able to just buy it and replace it. But there's too many systems and things in the game that will be affected by this change, and they didn't want to like go over and rework all of that stuff. So it's easier just to add more crystals, an easier way of getting them. Next up, soft caps. So this is the soft caps in PvE, and I highly recommend checking out my my weapons guide I put out recently as well, talking about these soft caps and the importance and how it works also at in-game, because it's very different. Because there haven't been new updates to top monster zones, the effort that you put into your gear progression can feel less satisfying with the current soft caps. With the recent Decay Lantern update, we made sure to set a higher ceiling for these soft caps. So up here they're talking about the best spots like Hex and Trolls. There are LVS spots that have a 5% soft cap, means you only get 5% of your AP value after the cap. And then you of course have a lot of the other ones as Forest, Gyfin, which has a very low soft cap where you only get 70% for a large portion. However, there's one thing here they're not talking about, and I covered that in my weapons video. Highly recommend checking that out. It's not just the AP, it's also the DR of the mobs that they made adjustments to. So now you really feel any AP gain you get. And they're aware of this, and they're making some good changes. I personally like the route they were going with the Decay spots, where you really feel the increases you get of your gear at the higher end. High-level adventurers are frequently using Digger Lanterns, and with the new monster zones that will be added soon, will be added with the additional Elixir update. You can also participate ample profits in these zones. Class balance, here we are, boys. This has been ongoing. Again, nothing really new here, to just reiterating all the stuff. So I'll give you a TLDR of the PvP things. Again, you can read this link in the description, right? They are buffing damage and lifesteal on classes in PvE, trying to bring them up to the top tier of Sok Wusa. And that will be done on Friday. This Friday on Global App will be last round. It's not listed here, but they did say, again, that the classes that are not looking to get a buff at this stage here would be Awakened Witch, Sok Wusa, but also Awakening Wusa, Sok Guardian, and also Sok Mego and Sok Nova. Those classes are not looking to get any changes this round, but as they're mentioning here, there will be a second round following it. So on Friday is the last round of the damage buffs. Then the following November 8th, it's going to be out in Korea, and then we'll probably get it in November 15th. Now, after that, they're going to be doing a new round of adjustments, and this will be different than just damage. This will be potential protection changes, iframe changes, and also a huge announcement, taking a look at accuracy buffs and evasion buffs and debuffs. And this will have potential huge PvP implications. So we'll see what happens here. I'm excited to see what route they're going. It could balance a lot of stuff in the game in this kind of here. There's some classes that have insane amount of stat value in raw flat stats and buffs and everything. Potentially we could see damage buffs to Shy on Friday. Like Shy will probably get some, right? So Shy could get huge PvE buffs, but then maybe they're gonna reduce the party buffs and like the evasion shred, misty haze and all that, to tone that down and balance it that way. So that could also be what they're referring to, and I'm at least excited to see exactly what's gonna happen. Here we are. One more note about the class changes. Next, with PvP, we plan to tailor classes to their respective role, with some specializing in 1 vs 1s, others in small-scale combat situations such as Arena of Solar, and others that specialize in large-scale combat such as Ranger and Archer. We plan to reveal this in Global App servers and will consider to reflect on feedback given as best as we can. Now, this is an interesting statement, because most people just play one class, right? And you kind of want to be able to play that class in all aspects of the game. It doesn't mean you have to be S tier and everything in PvP, but if they're leaning into the specialization, they're also saying that, well, if you want to do Arena Solar, you have to play Arena Solar class. And if you then play a class that's for large scale, well, tough luck, get an ult, play it for that one. It's interesting that they're leaning in. It would give them an out in terms of balance, right? So let's say I play Awakened Warrior. Awakened Warrior is definitely a good 1 vs 1 class and skirmish class. So if you were to buff Awakening Warrior up to be as good as, say, Sockserker or Archer for large-scale PvP, you can kind of imagine, like, so this is 1 vs 1 and this is... So let's say we buffed it up, you know the 1 vs 1 is going to be broken. Because, like, all the issues with the class, well, in large scale, if they get covered up, just imagine how good it's going to be in 1 vs 1. So I think what they're saying is, we're just not going to bother. We're going to make sure that the classes excel at their class identity. And the biggest issue with this is that it's very hard to play other classes. So my big copium is what I've been talking about for almost 2 years now, and it is gear presets. I hope, and I even think that there's a legitimate chance that a Caltheon Board, they will announce gear presets and the availability to, just like with crystals, load your gear into a setup, and then you can load that on all your characters, just like with crystal presets. And it would allow you to play any class you would want. So it's not like, oh, you only play one. If you then wanted to do large scale, well, you could just do that, and then you would still have your class for grinding, for 1 vs 1 and all that. And it would allow you to actually play classes that specialize in these things, instead of being forced into the S tier meta class that can do everything. Because of course there's still going to be Sockserkers in the game. Speaking of Sockserkers, There's been some feedback about Berserker's Beast Mode having a toggle option. However, this toggle option is not possible due to technical limitations. Still, we are considering an approach with a separate version of the skill that doesn't change the appearance in Beast Mode. Yeah, so there you go. Guy also saying, I love it. And that would, if they do that, then this wouldn't be as bad. But again, most people just play one class and or have attack, right? But they're really saying that you would need like multiple, right? You would need one for large scale, small scale, 1 versus 1, all that stuff. So it's, yeah. As Angel said, it's kind of like admitting defeat on this one. They've been trying to balance classes to some degree in all aspects and make them at least usable in the areas where they were weak. So yeah. Crash issues. Now this is a big one, right? Because I know a lot of you guys have been experiencing this. I have as well. We literally had a crash on the stream earlier today. And apparently it's a way bigger issue. Here, this is from P as well. We've had half of the development team working on looking into these issues. And each time a cause of disconnection and crashing issues identified, we prioritize these fixes. That being said, we are aware of there being continuously to be crashes in many situations. Where players do specific actions, and sometimes even when they're doing nothing. We deeply understand the stability issues are critical matters, so when we discover causes, we'll work on quickly addressing them as soon as possible. Okay, something's missing here that they talked about in the live is it's been going on for around 3 weeks ago. A different issue arose, and they have tried to fix it, but they don't get like reports on the crash. And Jay said, which is hopefully an exaggeration, that 50% of the devs will work on fixing this issue. So if you guys have experienced way more crashes over the last 3 weeks, it's because of a new crash issue that arose, and they've been trying to fix that extensively. Damage numbers. The TLDIs, it will not happen. They hear people talking about damage numbers in the game, and he quite directly just came out and said, no, we're not doing it. This is the soft way. This is not what he like said. We do not plan on adding numbers. He said, no, we're not doing it. He does not want to add numbers. Absolutely done. Just a straight up no. There you go. That's it. And also, they did here, we highly valued the due process and do not wish black desks to be measured by metrics such as DPS. Rather than that, we want the game to be aggression in a desired direction, right? So they don't want it to turn into toxic stuff with guild masters being like, oh, do a damage pass. Oh, you didn't make it. Well, get the fuck out. No invite. Show me your passes and you can get an invite. They don't want that. And straight up just no, it's not happening. You best believe it. They addressed Garmoth Heart. We're considering implementing an additional method to obtaining Garmoth Heart, as well as increasing its maximum price. As I talked about in length with Alchemy, that's not how we fix the issue. They need small. One of the big things about Garmoth Heart is it started being a luxury item that you needed one off for endgame PvP only, because you could only put it on your offhand. And now you need one from your offhand. You definitely need one for your awakened weapon, because it's like the best value upgrade you can probably get in this game. The 2 crystals are insanely powerful because they also buffed it with the crystal presets. Then you potentially need one for your life skiller. You potentially need one if you're doing an endgame both DR and evasion build. Well, you need one for Nuber and for Kudum. And then you need a 5th one if it is you want to play Shy. It's crazy, right? So even your regular person needs at least 2, and a lot of people would want 3 for a life skiller. So the demand has just gone up. So here's another thing. Increasing the maximum price can be implemented relatively quickly, but as for the latter, you will need some time for it to be implemented in consideration to balance. We will also decrease the difficulty of the Garmoth Heart quest. Thank the Lord. We will be providing specific details as soon as we can in parts where there's difficulty in the global lab. Now, it's not mentioned here again, but they did say that they're also considering PD pieces for Garmoth Heart. Again, all of this is not like confirmed they're doing it, but they did say that one of the things they were considering doing in making it easier to obtain was adding pity pieces for it. Outfits, we plan to remove the long tail from Shell Bill outfit. True Catgirl outfit should only be for Kunos. At least give Kuno a real place in the game. Give them something they're the best at. Catgirl outfits, Kuno only. It is what it is, guys. I fully support this. For the classes that have weapons which protrude outside of the outfit, we are exploring development work, additional options to conceal the weapon. However, we can't concretely confirm whether or not it's possible in the option. Converting short capes to long capes would require changing the whole body structure of the character, which alone would take at least a year of development and thus be very difficult to change. So this is also a sort of a different translation. What they said was it took a whole year just to do Wizard. So when they developed Wizard, it took like a whole year to make it. And they would have to change the complete structure of any character. So what they're saying is one character would take a year. So if you have like 10 characters, it would take them 10 years legitimately to change into long capes. So it's not happening is what they're saying. Yeah, forget about it. It's not happening. Another thing that's very difficult to is offer cross-legged sitting positions. It's impossible to fix a character that's wearing a short skirt because the position would clip through the outfit, which is why we have current animation of sitting on a cushion. For the time being, we'll be refraining from adding embellishments such as feathers and chains to outfits. Life skills, again, this is a very short one, right? We plan to continuously make improvements to live content because there are many aspects to prioritize in terms of development, improvements, blah, blah, blah. It's just, they have nothing added to life skill here. They want to make improvements, but it's going to be a while. Right now, they're focusing on PvP and PvE and combat and the new game modes and all that. So life skilling is on a pause. I mean, to be fair, we're getting some alchemy updates. As an alchemist, I'm happy. But it will probably be a while before anything else comes out for life skilling. Unifying reset time. We understand the complexity of having different reset times, so we'd like to share intents behind these different times. The TLDRs, they're not going to change it, right? If you guys want to know why, then you can read that. It's basically they just want people to be able to play at different times and do different things. We're making preparations to remove all quest items that are left over from events quests that have ended. Half my inventory is this. Yeah. I can't wait to find out which one is actually useless. That being said, I have items that are from 2018 in my my white tab and for quest things, and I would be sad to lose those. So yeah, unlucky. But you should find items related to contribution. We'll add a contribution in front of the item so you can easily locate it in the search bar. This is great. So many people have like a rented item and they can't find it because they don't remember what it is. And now you can just search for contribution so you can find out where those rented items are and return them. So great W change. Love to see it. Okay, and now we get to the big part. This is content due for updates. So they're giving us a sneak peek into the things coming that they're planning and working on. And some of these things potentially would have been announcements of Calcium Ball. Probably not all of them, but yeah. Let's get to them. Dark Rift. They're reducing the number of Dark Rift bosses from 12 to 6, basically because people don't do them. Jay and the other devs said as well, like they have a full rifts open, all level 1. They don't really do them themselves. So they kind of understand. The Dark Rift bosses in Medaya and Desert will be removed, and they will add mythical feathers from the Dark Rift. So they're gonna buff the existing Dark Rift. They're gonna keep them closer together, so there's less. But I think they also said they were going to increase the spawn rate, so you can do them more often, and then make them better. Yep. So that's nice. I still think it would be nice if you could go to any of the spawns, and then you just click, like open your summon and you just click them and summon them at those portals, and the portals would be permanently up, right? But then when you had a boss available, you could go to any of the portals and just summon it there, so you didn't have to run all around the place to do them. I think that would be a nice quality of life fix as well if they would do that. This year is super cool. Yar and Old Moon Grand Prix. Similar to Arena of Solar matchmaking system, a similar system will be added to Yar and the Old Moon Grand Prix. I don't know anyone that does the Old Moon Grand Prix, but yeah, maybe somebody did. However, seeing as how many people are enjoying YA more, YA will be updated ahead of the Grand Prix. So, TLDRs, they're gonna make ranked YA. So, you can queue up for a YA game, it sounds like. So, if you're standing there, you're chilling, doing something, doing cooking or whatnot, yeah, pop up a YA game, get some ranking, and just chill out. I love this. I think this is awesome. Hopefully in the future they'll add like more of these type of things or expand on it or whatever. I think this is really cool. Like it's a small, insignificant change, but it adds some value in your everyday gameplay. Potential fun. I know the F word in video games, but yeah. Data quest, Awakening boss summons. They're going to change it from a quest to the white tab. Yeah, great. Now make them worth doing. Lacaro, if you guys don't know what the Lacaro is, it's the big flowers out in the world that you can go and get a Minesweeper game. Where you have to unearth roots. It's super lame. And it's such a waste of time. No, it's a Minesweeper. It's like getting basically the gathering game when you're doing herbing, like the 10x game. It's basically that, just 5x more annoying. It'll buff the roster players encouraged to have fun with the current minigame again. It's not happening. It's not fun. Adventure locks. This is a big one. It's one of the things I've been, again, really ranting about for a long time. They needed to improve. We are aware that adventure locks have a rather high barrier of entry and are considering approach to simplify them. Good. RBF. Keep in mind the rewards, EXP, and balance between factions, and the geo elements. We plan to revamp Red Battlefield to make it more attractive, right? So they talked about adding silver value, EXP, and all that stuff, plus a bunch of other things. Blackstones, nice. There's too many things in the game, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and this is one of them, Blackstones. We are considering ways to simplify the many Blackstones, the upgrade materials. The first thing we're considering is to do this by combining armor and weapon Blackstones into one kind. I think that's great, do it. Half the inventory space, and you don't have to then worry about this or that. Yep, just simplify it. We're thinking of more ways to simplify this further. Yep, I think this is great. It's a good first step. It's a super simple one to do. Do it, get it done, and then, yeah, work on the other upgrade materials next. Ocean content. Oh wait, they're planning, basically saying we're planning to introduce new sea monster that they will do in Hideout Ball. We do our best to make this sea hunting content interesting. They'll add it on Global Lab. And a shout out to me, apparently. I feel like this was directly dedicated and pointed to me as a massive Altar Blood enjoyer. We were doing this every Sunday. We had a Sunday stream where we were running Altar Blood with the viewers until they took it away. And me, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that really enjoyed this, even though it was obsolete. While we do plan on revamping eventually. Now, Altar of Blood was removed from the game around 2 years ago. And they removed it from the game along with Savage Rift, saying we're taking it out of the game to rework it. It's at least 2 years ago. While we do plan on revamping eventually, they haven't even looked at it. They just took it out of the games. They literally haven't even looked at it in all this time. The Altar of Blood is later in terms of priority than other aspects introduced. It's been years! So it's difficult to offer a set date for this content. Also, something is missing here. In the actual translation from Hui, Jay said that they might rework it, but they might also just remove it entirely. There's other things in the game, like what was it called? Like the abyssal, where you just kept going in, like basically a tower mode where you just become harder and harder and harder and grinding, that they cancel as well. And he did say on the live stream that they might start reworking it, but they might also just completely scrap it. Also, and finally here, Field bosses will make updates to field bosses so they share HP across all servers, just like the world bosses do. Field buff rewards will also receive a slight buff. Yeah. So there you go. That is what they talked about. No more trains. Trains are going to be a thing of the past for the field bosses. You'll basically just be killing them. They will be buffing the rewards, so they will be buffing the feathers, but realistically, it's going to be a buff to the people that did not get on the train, and it's going to be a nerf to the people that ran the trains. That's going to be the reality for sure, right? Guys, don't forget to check out the stream at twitch.tv/bprimegaming. You can catch all this stuff live when we're doing it, and I'll see you all in the next one.